Hi everybody, I'm Rick Durr, an owner at Learning Express Toys, and generally when I'm in my home office I'm at a happy place as well as my store. I've been asked as a member of Learning Express, a store owner, being a regional owner over the years, and now running a store for 25 years to talk a little bit about toy trends. And certainly the toy market has definitely changed over this time, both in definition of what toys are and items, as well as the types of products, the timing of products, the price of products, and of course, the advent of online and Amazon, which has had a huge effect over the last 5 to 8 years. So as I said, Learning Express, been part of that franchise for 25 years. When I met Sharon Domenico, the founder, in 1995, late that year, and opened in 1996 in Lake Zurich, Illinois. But today I'm here to talk about some toy trends. So some people have written and asked me some questions, so let's get started and see if I can't shed some light on at least some of these questions and ideas to get you, the viewer, stimulated as well in terms of thinking, whether you're a manufacturer, inventor, vendor partner, another retailer, US, North America, abroad. We are all in this together to help kids both learn and develop with the use of toys. So, question one, what determines a trend? Categories, products, items, and I think first of all we have to make a difference between a fad of a product and a real hot toy trend. So let me try to explain. A fad is something very short-lived that comes out of nowhere. Nobody could have seen it, planned for it. It just happens. The term now virally, but years ago in 2010 when Silly Bands hit, a little rubber band in different shapes. I mean, it blew up in a matter of months and then went away very, very quickly. So toy fads I define more as a short term, somewhere between 3 and 6 months, that explode out of the gate, making product initially harder to get, and then it also so-called crashes in a very hard fashion. And if you're not ready, you can also get stuck with a lot of goods. The current fad on fidgets that's going on right now, under $10, the little items, I still consider that in the fad stage. We'll see how long it goes, but I predict by the end of May and June, when school's out, and we'll talk about factors as we go through this, that could in fact be a mini fad. Another fad that I can think of was the Fidget Spinner in 2017. Took off in January, February, and by May, June, when some of the other boxes, big boxes were getting into it, we were getting out of it, but that went from zero to millions of dollars back to zero in a matter of 6 months. So a hot toy trend I consider more of two examples would be like a Shopkins from Moose Toys that came online in 2014, picked up steam in 2015, and by 2016 was doing still big numbers, and frankly lasted into today with a version called Real Littles still doing well, and some spin-offs of competitors in that sort of miniature food, miniature pets category, but that lasted several years. Squishmallows, which is going on right now from Kelly Toy, started several years ago, but really picked up steam in 2019. 2020 with the pandemic really took off, even with amusement parks and things, which was their traditional outlet, shut down, retailers picked that up. Consumers loved it. The collectability, the squeeze, the soft fabric, staying at home, kids with their own money, so many reasons. But Squishmallows now I consider into the hot toy trend. So it's a difference of timing, the explosion up, the explosion down, and then the longevity to determine whether something is a toy fad or a hot toy trend. Question 2 is retailer attributes to take advantage of trends. Well, the first thing that I see is speed to market, and then agility to pivot and pick up inventory from different sources, even abroad into the Far East, China. And now with the advent of the internet and online sellers, one can move very, very quickly. Of course, you have to be safe. You have to be working with reputable people, but with the flying in of products now, unlike years ago when it was all pretty much containers and boats, one can act very, very quickly, and in a matter of days, if not hours, have product on one's shelf to get it. So to take advantage of trends, you have to be ready with speed, agility, and capital. Capital to go out and acquire things quickly, cash is king, and that is a huge advantage. Where do I hear about a lot of trends? Well, it starts with networking, and certainly we have our own internal network at Learning Express Toys, some 90 to 100 stores spread around the U.S. We work closely with retailers in Canada, Mexico, and recently I've been reaching out to the UK and talking to some retailers there and the trade publications. And then, of course, you have pre-COVID, the shows, whether it's Nuremberg in Germany, Hong Kong, it starts usually a year, and then New York's Toy Fair in February, all the way through, shows during the summer, Dallas in the fall. You're always looking and searching out, quote, trends by category, hot toys within that trend or hot products within that trend and category, and newness. Newness. I can't explain that enough, that in our business, it's about new. In fact, I tell a lot of new store owners, the day you can't bring in new is the day you're going to hemorrhage and die, because we are the lifeblood of new, both for the kids, parents want new, and it's evolving so much more quickly with social media. So, where do we get ideas? It's all the way, again, from trade magazines to networking to getting samples sent, seeing and forecasting if that particular trend and category is working. But again, scouring YouTube, TikTok, a lot of different social media and around the world, because again, fads explode out of the gate, you never know, and the hot toy trends build over time, and you have to watch that growth as well to get into proper inventory and competitive price positioning. What are the positive and negative effects on retailers? Well, people think it's all fun and games, obviously, when something new comes out and people are rushing to your doors. I mean, there's nothing better than that feeling of people lining up, wanting to come in your establishment or online with orders waiting the next morning of a very hot and faddish type product. However, there is a lot of work in planning with that. You have to source the inventory quickly and efficiently. You have to buy in fairly big quantities, because I've learned get in early take advantage of the hot toy trend and fad, and then know when to get out. I can't tell you how many independents, at least I know, and maybe Toys R Us was guilty of this to some extent. KB Toys no longer exists, and others that, you go after these new toy trends big, but if you don't manage your inventory and get stuck with thousands of items at the end, and you literally have to close them out or discard them at almost nothing, there goes all your profits plus more, and it hemorrhages the cash for you to bring in new items. And that again gets back to the lifeblood of our industry, new. So you need to manage that cycle, if you will, very, very carefully, of purchasing, cash flow, turnover rates, and know when to start moving your inventory down and into a place and building other categories and items up so that your sales continue even after the fad or the hot toy is over. Obviously, the positive effects are traffic, and fads and hot toys raise all boats. I mean, even if it's fidgets that are selling or Squishmallows, the more traffic in one store, it raises all product sales generally. So then people know where you are, how to find you. They get hopefully attracted to your product mix and items that you offer, and your business can stay at a higher level even after the fad. The best thing for us was 2012 going into 13. And the fad at that time that was starting to hook on, that turned into a hot toy, was rainbow loom bracelets. Rubber band bracelets that you made, the founder Chunung out of Michigan. Well, we became good friends too, and still are today, and his product's still on the shelf. So that's a testimony of a real hot product that evolved and stayed on the arts and crafts shelf all this time, 8-9 years later. But during the time, I knew one thing. We were getting traffic from different areas of Chicagoland. So what I did was ask the team to, when they checked in a new customer, ask them what school district they were from. Because I knew this was hitting during a time when schools were in and kids were mimicking the playground and what other kids were doing, and seeing, bracelets on people's wrists. And this was at the infancy of using Facebook as a social media platform for at least independent toy stores. But I took the lunge and saw that this could be an important tool. So once our team actually got wind of new customers signing up from an area, I went and placed an ad in that geographic zip code with Facebook and pushed the fact that we had Rainbow Loom. We were the Rainbow Loom headquarters. Well, that kept adding customers. It got us known across Chicagoland and a tri-state area. People were driving an hour away to get the product because they couldn't find it anywhere. And then the thought was, besides social media, how can we retain the customer base? That was the goal. Could we retain most of it? Even if somebody drove an hour from Chicago, if they come once or twice a year and spend $200-300 each, those are all incremental dollars spent in our store. And that's how we got to be a pretty large independent, and we retained a lot of that business during that year, and it was our biggest year ever, several $1 million. In fact, we did $1 million in Rainbow Loom product and accessories just in our store that year. So talk about an amazing year. 2013 was by far our biggest year, even bigger than Beanie Babies and others that I'll talk about later. What are some of the trends over the last 25 years that I've seen? Well, I wrote down some, so let me just sort of remind you, and maybe you'll have fond memories or not so fond memories of some of these times, okay? I started in the late 90s, so of course that is Thai Beanie Babies. Remember getting on the phone, because back then, tough to order, you pretty much picked up a phone. They didn't have necessarily reps at that time for independence, and you had to call in your order and hope that A, you got through, B, the allocations were there. You could get 36 maybe of each style. Even though I have my collection up here to the right on my wall, it's pretty extensive, but it was a time when I was just entering the toy business, and quite frankly, not only exhilarating, but on the other hand, it also gave a false sense of what this business could be like in the future, of how tough and how unforgiving it is if you do make mistakes. But that was my first foray in. Then came along Pokemon, the introduction of Pokemon in 2000. And I remember, again, working with distributors in a company that was not used to dealing with independent toy stores or a franchise, and it was very hard to get Pokemon at that time. If you were lucky enough to get it, you would sell out, and people were learning the game, and it took off. And again, another evergreen product that is having phenomenal success even as I sit here in 2021. In addition, that summer came out a phenomenon called the Razor scooter. And at the time, it was $100. Portable, compact, fold up, these roller blade type wheels, but kids just loved it. They wanted multiple colors. Grandmas loved it because kids were active outdoors, playing, and selling $100 to $120 item, and you do that 50, 60 times a day. You can see how big that flash in the pan was. But over the years, and it didn't take long before that price plummeted from $100 down to about $39.99, even lower at some years, and well below that peak that we saw when they were first introduced. Then there was a little lull in the market. 2001 came, and 9/11. That put a damper on things. I think subtly, there was just an overhang for about a year or two. And it wasn't until 2006 when a rep from Gans walked in my store and told me about this new product called Webkins. And you actually have a code on the tag that takes children to a virtual play world on the computer called Webkins Land. And all these different characters, and they do different things, and da-da-da-da, safe, all that. Well, it didn't catch on right away, but sometime in 2007, when I was about ready to pull the plug, we got some bites, and then by Christmas time that year, all of a sudden it blew up, and 2008 was unbelievable. Talk about fad status. It went poof, and everybody from gas stations to Walgreens to other stores were trying to get them and allocating, and the prices of some of the characters were going through the roof. But that kicked off, and Webkins was our second biggest, largest item after Rainbow Loom during that 2000, late 7, 8, and 9 period. And it rejuvenated, I think, the indie toy market. And that was, again, a company called Gans. And then 2010, we did Silly Bands. They came out of nowhere. Little rubber band shaped characters selling for very small. In fact, I know I was on a vacation in Arizona at the time, and all of a sudden this just took off, and everybody was scrambling to get Silly Bands, and then the knockoffs and everything else, and preloading orders, because there was thousands of packets going out the door at a very low price, but you had to have a variety, and animals and shapes and colors and, glow in the dark and different types of things. And at the end of the day, that crashed and burned in a couple months. And this is the negative part of things, because some stores actually got stuck with so many rubber bands they had to go in the dumpster, and some went out of business. Yep, that is a true story. Some went out of business. So on these, if you don't monitor the orders, stay on it daily almost, these top sales can fall in such a heartbeat. And that was one of them. That was one of them. There's been some comebacks, some people trying to bring back that rubber band craze, but it never has gotten back to anywhere close to what it was. And then in 2015 or 2009, even before the silly bands, some of you may remember Juju Pets, hamsters that ran through tubes and raced. That was sepia. That was a big craze in 2009. And then 2015, Shopkins came on board, and we talked about them earlier about how Moose really built that to a brand status, and over the many years has done very well and continues to sell today to some degree. And then in 2017, I remember the Fidget Spinner. Again, that went in January, February, hit a peak in April, came back in May, and by June we were starting to exit out of that market as Walmart, Target went into it. So there we reaped the rewards as well on that market. Late 2017, you remember Fingerlings from Wowie out of Canada? Huge. That again was a very short time frame. Even though Fingerlings stayed on the market, it was that October through December spike that went through the roof. And this is one of the products I sold the most because of the timing. In one day, we got 720 pieces in of Fingerlings and sold every one in an 8-hour day at like $25. It was unbelievable the amount of demand there was at the holiday time. LOL then was introduced in that time period, 17, 18, and 18 continued, and there's another, went from, the unboxing sort of fad to a hot brand that continues to perform today, the LOL franchise. So kudos to MGA and what they've been able to do and keep innovating, and that's what they're very good at. And again, I applaud them totally for the LOL process. That is a hot and continuing brand that was not a fad. It changed the way kids played. Then we mentioned in 2019-2020 the Squishmallow rise. That also I would put in that category of a continual hot toy trend and will continue. Again, it's collectability, it's a wide age range, it's good pricing, it's the mix, it's coming out with new and innovative, and the pandemic, I think, helped that. Why? Soft, comfort. People had money. They weren't going on trips, so the kids had their own money. And we do see that today, even with the fidget small toy craze. They're using their own money. They come in and get a shopping basket. Never have seen so many baskets used by kids. But they like to shop around and do it. And, if it helps them with their Zooms or when they go back to school and teachers have given the okay that maybe fidget focus is okay and helps them, so be it. And I don't see any reason why that doesn't stick around for a few more months, but maybe not at the same level, but certainly fidgeting. Even the Toy Man fidgets, and I enjoy some of the products on the market today. So new category, good category, just may not be at the hot fad status level that we are today. So that brings us to another question, and that is the role of social media in today's hot toy trends. And I would say back to when I learned about Facebook, 2012, 2013, dabbling in it. And, we all started in Facebook about 2009. Uh, but it wasn't until 12 and 13 that I think advertising and even the more broad Learning Express community and independents, probably more like 17, 18, 19 when they got in to any great degree. But I do believe that the social media platform allowed small businesses to compete more effectively. And for me, from 2013 on, I've been able to compete a lot more, and my sales show it. We actually have had from that period of time. And then don't forget, Amazon came on the scene in a more aggressive manner in toys in that 2016, 17, 18, 19 range. And certainly 2020 has propelled them to, my guess, 30-some% of market share here in the U.S. And so couple that with Walmart and their online presence and Target, you have those big three. I mean, that is the domination of the market. So where do indies fit in? They fit in by being a niche, by being speed, agility, and being able to maneuver and use those things, for instance, on Amazon, trends, pricing, even product at times, to our advantage. So we work with them, not compete against them. That's my opinion, and what we're starting to see is we can coexist with them. And I like to use the analogy that we're like a remora fish. If you don't know what a remora fish is, it's kind of a sucker fish that clings on to a whale, and I call Amazon the whale. And they take a ride with the whale, and they actually eat the garbage that the whale spits out, or they suck nutrients out of the whale, and they survive that way. So they work with the whale, not against it. And so that's what we have to do in the indie toy market with our speed, agility, networking, and social media. Now, Facebook works the best for us. Instagram is gaining, but it's a different user for us. YouTube, more the kids. Yes, you have to have a playing field there, but it's not the main driver of sales. But we do use it and also review it constantly for different trends and sort of groundbreaking stars, if you will, that come out and then have toy lines like Ryan and Love Diana and some others. And then the newness of TikTok. Of course, people's attention span is short, but video wins. And of course, the TikTok challenges and things have gotten a lot of publicity lately. And frankly, this fidget craze and the poppets, where you pop like the bubble wrap and the different colors and types of little poppets, has been quite amazing. Again, look to TikTok, and we are getting that traffic. So social media plays a huge role. What will be next? Who knows? But you have to experiment, see where it goes. People laugh at you for using it, but you just want to be ready when it's there, and we have been. And we'll continue to be that way and search out different things. The one in the future that I think has some potential, just don't know how it will work, is streaming. Twitch and some other things, and the video game market has used it so well. But is there a way we can also use that to have fun with our toys and also end up doing some selling and information push-outs and marketing with that and streaming services? We don't know. But kids will be kids, and they're still kids. Let me slowly wrap up on this end, that we see that children still want to be kids, right? In fact, I think we push them so much that, to give them their own iPhone and different things, that, they grow up so quickly and their expectations are that they know a lot more, and that, hey, if I play with this, I may look like, you know, I'm sort of an oddball out of the norm. Well, toys do teach. We know during the pandemic that the toy market, not only with games, puzzles, active toys, tween type toys, phone accessories, you name it, there was a lot of interest and growth in those categories. So just when things were actually shutting down, and then we were able to reopen and again adjust, have agility, speed, pivot to online curbside pickup and shipping and delivery, we saw those categories grow too. So the toy industry is so resilient, but I think it also pointed out that toys are needed. Parents realize that the time together with these generational games, puzzles, and other activities that they can do instead of just going to, you know, experiential activities in the car or on a plane or whatever else, they can do them at home. It may not be an everyday thing, but I think we have proved once again that the toy industry continues to be innovative, resilient, needed, and that kids are kids. And just like other kids, when they see something they like or share in school, out of school, they want it. So the current fidget thing is, show me your fidget stash. How many fidgets do you have? You don't need just one poppet. You need this color and this shape and that design. And so the amount of activity and fun is kids being kids. They like it, they see it, they want to imitate it. And then with age ranging up on products like Squishmallows, you have younger kids that love them. You have the elementary, preschool age that love them, middle school that love them, high schoolers that come in and collect them, and you have young adults and moms. And let me share this story because it's pretty funny. This summer, when we reopened, I went out and a woman was carrying the 24-inch huge Squishmallow. And I said, oh, your daughter or son is really going to get a great present today, huh? With this huge Squishmallow. And she said, heck no, this is for me. And then she opened up the Squishmallow and moved it from the front of her body, and she's pregnant. And she says, this is so soft and squishy that I need this to lean against. And that told me then that this whole Squishmallow craze is fun, sort of addictive, the feel to it, and parents are going to give the okay that if you want to collect these characters and have fun with it, go for it. And so, again, kids will be kids, thank goodness. We have to stay out of their way and let them play, but keep innovating, keep giving them great play toys, as well as items that can direct them rather than just screens. And screen time is great if used properly, and also if we can find ways to incorporate physical toys in with the screen space as well. I think that is going to be a huge area of growth. I know a couple people have tried. It hasn't worked as well since the Webkins arena, in my opinion. But maybe with Lego's video, VIDIYO, and making up little safe videos within a contained environment using Lego minifigs and things, that has a chance. That hits the market next month. So we'll see how that actually goes as well, where, again, you integrate the social media online with the physical toys. So, let's see. We talked about the effect of school and pandemic and summers, but let me reiterate two of those three. While the pandemic certainly has taught us a lot, we also know over the years that the end of school and summers tends to be a break for kids. And so sometimes hot toys and fads that run up into May suddenly fall off in the summer because of the outlet of school being done, and then kick back in, never quite as strong when school returns. So that is always something to keep an eye on in this current fidget uh, small toy craze. We're going to watch that same thing too. It'll go through Easter in early April, continue, and then once school hits out, let's see if it doesn't drop off quite a bit. So we're watching that closely, and we'll have some indicating trends to know whether that will happen well before May. And then just in general, school. Pandemic also proved that you don't have to be on the playground to get a hot fad toy. People will find it. People will, again, now with, you know, talking to each other, verbally, texting, social media wise, Snapchatting, Zooming, whatever you want to call it. I think being in school has less importance than it did 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, because it was all about would they see each other at, recess, on the playground, or in school, about what you're wearing, talking about, showing, or bringing to school. So, by the way, I didn't know this either, but my neighbor has Zoom show and tell. So she actually took on Squishmallows and some art kits and Crazy Aaron's putty and some of those things during the last school year when they had Friday show and tells on Zoom. They'd send me pictures too and say, hey, look for this. People liked that or gave thumbs up. So much learning that happened this year as well. So before we get to a broader roundtable, let me just finish up by thanking you for listening to the Toy Man. And again, we don't know all the answers to everything, but we keep learning, we keep networking. We hope that younger people will come into our industry and be a part of it, because one thing that I do fear is that this industry tends to skew toward the older folks, men and women, and we need bright, young, new minds of all, ages, race, thoughts, and the thinking process of how one designs something to distribute it, to get it into the hands of children to play. And then the distribution aspects, can we all continue to do a better job there? And will people be somewhat hesitant for the short term about the pandemic effects, and how big will the online get? So there are so many issues yet for us to continue to wrestle with, but I really believe that with your heart behind it, focused on the right goals, and Learning Express has both of those, I feel. Great owners that try to carry out, to bring joy to the children in their market, and then carry the items and things that their market wants with a competitive price, and then deliver in the convenience and the way a customer wants, is a successful formula. And I know there are some very fine and good independents across the U.S. that we network with, and they know who they are because they give me inspiration. And I look at Astra every day, the Association of Toys, to try to get ideas and get stimulated, as well as I said, trade magazine shows, just talking to people, and in general, trying to bring joy to the marketplace. And this industry has done that for me. I love my time at AC Nielsen, the TV ratings, and Dun & Bradstreet, the financial firm. It got me prepared but now running against the challenges in a tough industry, because if it was easy, there would be a lot more toy stores, right? But there aren't. So we know it's difficult, but it can be done and is needed, and we will continue to fill that void. So, any questions, please reach out to me. My email is le45@sbcglobal.net. You can reach me on LinkedIn and through the Learning Express website, learningexpress.com/Lake Zurich. So, looking forward to meeting some of you, talking with you, and hopefully together we will continue this ride of the fun in toys and bringing joy to children. Thank you.